Hello, I'm Brian Hayes. I'm a Salesforce and Pardot consultant with Rotive. We're an official Salesforce partner, and we help small businesses automate their processes. This next video is a lesson from our one-week Pardot course. If you find it useful, you can sign up for the complete course at academy.rotive.io or by clicking the link in the description below. In this video, we're going to build a dynamic list with competitors on it, and we're going to talk about the use of suppression lists within Pardot. So any list in Pardot can be used for suppression, which means it can act as a filter and prevent emails from going to anybody on that suppression list. And it's not a special designation of a list. It's something that you configure when you're going to send out that email, or when you build that engagement program. There's a little area and you can include any lists that you want to have used for suppression. And so again, any list can be a suppression list, but we've got recommendations on some ideas for suppression lists. And it's a valuable tool. It just helps you be more targeted in the messaging that you're sending out. And it ultimately helps you work with fewer lists. It helps save you time because you don't have to create all these additional versions of lists that are just removing particular people. You can remove them in a dynamic way with a dynamic list. So a couple examples of suppression lists. One is going to be VIP customers, people who are used to calling you on your cell phone. Maybe you don't want them to get any sort of automation. Well, then you can suppress them. Any prospects that are currently involved with a salesperson where there's an open opportunity, maybe an open opportunity above a certain value is one that you might want to suppress. You certainly don't want to make the mistake of emailing a prospect with a discount code or a big coupon or something in the middle of a negotiation with that salesperson and that prospect. The salesperson would not be too happy about that. You can also create suppression lists that are controlled by salespeople, make them CRM visible. And maybe it's people that the salesperson does not want you to reach out to, because maybe they're not a great customer. Maybe they've got a different specific outreach strategy that they want to take on, and they want to take control of that communication. All those are great examples of lists that can be used for suppression. The one that we're going to build today is a dynamic list of your competitors. There's a great trick for automatically adding competitors to that list as you go. Now, of course, you could create a static list and you could, create prospect records for your competitors and add them, one at a time. But let's automate this a bit. So step one is create the dynamic list. Click the Add List button here under the segmentation list area, and let's give it a name, competitors. If I do have a list that I know I'm going to use for suppression, I like to put in parentheses suppression as well. Just makes it a little bit easier to find. It's another thing that's useful for tagging a list. That way you can quickly find all of your suppression lists in the table. And of course, we could always put it in a folder if you'd like to. So check the box for dynamic and hit set rules. So the rule we're going to use is prospect default field. Here it is in the list. And we're going to look at the email address. Now, you could also look at the company field and say, anybody whose company is competitor A, competitor B, competitor C, let's add them to this list for suppression. I prefer to use email because oftentimes you've got a newsletter or something and you might not be asking for the company field. Or somebody puts in a different company name or they spell their company in multiple ways. But with an email address, it's much more consistent. So we'll select prospect default field, then click the second drop down and choose email. And we can go with contains in this case. And I'm going to start with the @ symbol and then whatever the competitor's domain is. So we'll do competitor1.com. And with a semicolon, you can add additional values within this one rule. So do @competitor2.com, so on and so forth. So you can add the email domains of all your competitors here. And if they match any of them, they're going to get added to the list automatically. You can use this exact same technique to create a dynamic list of target accounts too. If you know you've got these top 20 accounts that you want to go after this year, and you want to make sure that if anybody has interest from one of those accounts and they're coming into your marketing somehow, create a dynamic list the exact same way based off email address and domain. And then, of course, you can create subsequent automations to notify yourself or notify the salesperson when one of these target accounts comes in through your marketing efforts. But for now, we'll leave it at competitors here. Add as many other competitor domains as you'd like, and then hit Run Rules. So this is going to match to everybody whose email address ends in @competitor1.com or @competitor2.com, so on and so forth. And then throughout the system, you'll see areas where you can select lists for suppression, and you can choose your competitors list here to make sure that you're not educating your competitors and giving away your content and your marketing strategy without your knowledge. Thanks for watching that lesson from the 1-week Pardot course. If you'd like to see the other lessons, you can click the link in the description below or go to academy.rotive.io. And if you did find it useful, please hit the like button and click subscribe. Thanks for watching.